Welcome to Show and Sell, the show that celebrates digging through other people's trash. Hello, Trash Dragons. This is Show and Sell. I am Chris, Trash Dragon of the West, and I sell things like media on eBay and Discogs, but this is my guitar, Mr. Blankenship. I realized if I did not introduce him, he'd be very upset. So, Mr. Blankenship, hello. Say hello, everyone.
Hi, Mr. Blankenship.
Hi, Mr. Blankenship.
Yep, he says...
That's rude.
Yeah, very rude. He's in a bad mood today.
I'm Katie. I'm Trash Dragon of the South, and I'm not in a bad mood, but I might be now after Mr. Blankenship was so rude.
Very rude.
I shop and sell for mostly clothing and accessories, anything sparkly, and I also always have an eye out for anything really one of a kind and unique.
And I'm Joe. I'm the Trash Dragon of the East, and I would like to present to you Francis M. Durg in my lap, as usual. Good, always good to see Francis M. Durg.
Hello, everybody. Good to see you.
Bad mood remedied.
Yeah.
Anyway, but I sell a little bit of everything and a lot of some things. If it's not one of a kind, I am very enthralled by it. Like if, for example, I just listed 30 unsharpened Prismacolor colored pencils on eBay.
Ooh.
Because they were, some of them were discontinued. I did not know they discontinued colors, but they did. And so I have lilac, for example, discontinued. Keep an eye out.
Why? This is Barrel Prismacolors?
Barrel, I think they're now owned by Sanford, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
But yes, like one of them, although one of them is a barrel, Prismacolor. But yeah, I think that's like in the case of lilac, I think it's lilac and lavender are the two most recent discontinues. They had a hard time sourcing their the pigment, and so they had to stop.
I got two updates. One, you both look sharp and
Thank you.
And clean as usual. Good-looking folks all. And do you guys remember the moral quandary cards that I had a number of episodes ago? Like, it was just like,
yes,
yeah.
They, you saw someone cheat. Do you tell the principal? Yes. Or as Katie said, you rat them out and tell them someone else ratted them out. Someone bought those for $24, and I was very happy about that
because they're amazing.
Let's move on to our first segment, which is the thing that brought you joy.
The thing that brought you joy.
Okay, so the thing that brought me joy is, besides Francis M. Durg,
of course.
Well, yes. That's a given. It's this little toy kaleidoscope.
Ooh!
It's like,
oh wow!
Here's a little ASMR for you.
That's good. That's good ASMR. I like that.
You feel everything. The downside is it's pretty cool, but it really, the mirrors inside really stink. Like I think the whole thing might need to be disassembled and put back together again. What do you think, Francis? Yeah, take it apart and put it back together again, like you need another project.
Right.
Oh, Francis, you rascal.
I think Francis is really cutting your self-esteem down.
Francis.
Bit. Yeah, Francis, be nice, kind.
He is kind. He said some very nice things to me earlier today. So in this case, it's like there's something really elegant. I like the elegant, fancy, expensive kaleidoscopes, but I really love the cheap toy store ones even more.
Yeah.
It's like these are the kaleidoscopes for the people.
Exactly.
It is. It is.
And if they break, no big deal. Like there's nothing. It's not like this was put together by artisans with stained glass. It was soldered together by a 3-year-old.
Swiss kaleidoscope.
Exactly.
The Common Man Kaleidoscope, is that a band and or group from the 60s? Yes. Common Man Kaleidoscope?
Yeah, it sounds like it. So, Katie, you go ahead. What brought you joy?
Well, Okay, I know I often show framed things on this, but I can't resist because the frames are particularly good, but also what's in them is hysterical. So Oliver, that man that I live with,
The
has
guy, yeah.
turned, for some reason, he might be some sort of a, I don't know if he's turned into a TikToker or something, but he really likes those cows with the long hair. Do you know
Oh,
what I'm
yeah,
talking about?
yeah, I know. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I only say that because I see them sometimes in like influencer type things in the background. So I got him some. I found them, and they're pretty
Oh,
good.
Oh
those
man.
your stoner cows, huh?
I mean, they're
Yeah,
pretty good, right?
those are amazing, and those are great.
The frames,
Cup frames.
yeah.
Yeah, just did you merge these? You
Oh
like I,
no, they were bought as is,
wow.
like this.
Wait.
I was really thrilled. I went to a furniture consignment store in Kentucky that I haven't been to in almost a year,
Mm.
and it's sort of way out, like not in city, and so the prices are very reasonable. Um, these were more than I wanted to spend, which is $1, but these are more than I wanted to spend, but still reasonable for what they are. Because come on, it's not
Yeah,
going to get better than that. And he was delighted. They're going in a bathroom.
yeah. A husband delight is priceless.
Yep. So
Ladies,
yeah. So get what are these? They're not called a Shetland cow, are they? Is it Shetland cow? What are they? What is
I don't-
that cow called?
Sheffield? I have no idea. A
Is
grunge
it?
cow.
it looks
Well,
like
yeah.
like if you were to show me that and said, Karowski, what is this? I would say ox.
I would
But
say that is Kurt
Interesting.
Cobain.
Kurt Cobain. We can stop the show now. Thanks, everybody. Join us next time. That was 10 out of 10.
Yeah,
I'm writing it down. Kurt Cobain.
Kurt Cobain. All right, but that's gonna make my item of joy look like a pile of Cobain
What is it?
crap.
What is your item of joy, though?
Bring it
Well,
on.
so I found something very mysterious, and I wanted to open it on camera, which is I found at the bins. I found a wrapped present. I have no idea what's in here. Would you guys like to guess?
A book.
Okay. It looks the size of a book.
Yep.
Does it smell like a book?
It
No, don't tell
smells.
me. That
You
was
don't
not.
have a guess?
I'm gonna say it's a DVD copy of AE, the Will Smith and Will and Jaden Smith film.
Okay.
The sci-fi blockbuster that still continues to influence a new generation of filmmakers.
That's the one. The one.
Katie, what is your guess?
Okay, now I'm thinking after hearing it. Do you know how sometimes people make, like, at work or whatever, they'll make you a plaque that's like 5 years of service? I'm wondering if it's a white box and inside it was something like a little plaque that you put up on your wall.
Oh, interesting. Maybe. I mean, it's also a present that someone didn't even bother to open, which is like the thing that I find most interesting. Like someone wrapped this and either forgot to give it to someone or they got it and they're like, I'm not even bothered. I'm fascinated by this story. I wish I had like those dead zone powers where you could touch something and be like, oh, so that's the story. It's just like, ooh. Crappy stepmom gave you this, huh? So I will open it and we will find
let's go.
The answer. So,
what if it's just filled with cash? What if it's filled with cash?
I hope. Okay, so it is disappointing. It's the beautiful mercy, experiencing God's unconditional love, so we can share with others. And dynamiccatholic.com. So
someone knew that it was a book about God and was like, I'm just going to give that to the Goodwill because I don't want it.
I'm not even bothering. Like,
yeah.
They gave it to everyone in the office. They're like, I think you should have a better relationship with God. And
Janet gave me this. I know what it is. It's going in the bin. Yeah. No, they don't want your book, Janet.
Yeah.
Oh, Janet.
What they want is your zucchini muffins that with the little chunks of chocolate in the center. Like everyone loves those. Don't bother with these God books.
But stop putting scriptures inside them, Janet. Stop rolling up little balls of paper and putting a scripture in there.
I choked on John 2:17.
I know. Janet.
All right.
I know what cubicle life does to you.
We have a special guest coming up on our next segment, so stay tuned for Rex.
Trash Dragon of the Week. Rawr.
All right, we are back, and we have Trash Dragon of Staten Island, Rex, who is with us. Hey, it's exciting! I've known you from the record and music scene for many, many years. People might also know you from your legendary show, Fool's Paradise with Rex on WFMU every Saturday at 11 o'clock Eastern Time?
1 to 3.
1 to 3. I just listened to it on the streaming on the website.
It's okay.
Yeah,
I
thank
forgot
you.
when it started. That's fine.
But I don't need to because I listen to it when it's streaming. I go to the website and listen to it there.
It is beautiful. Yes,
Yeah.
Thank you.
And we're and you also have done many other written and audio projects, and including the voice of Weeble's announcer for our mutual friend Kyle over at Ancient Order of the Wooden Skull.
Yeah, I started playing alcoholic old sportscaster Rex Rafer. He's kind of down on his luck.
Right.
But more on
you've
that
also-
later.
Tell us, this is about thrifting, so tell us a little bit about how you got started and what has driven you to thrifting glory.
Well, much to the horror of my mother, I was an early adopter of thrifting, and in high school, would come home proudly with like a Pepsi delivery shirt, ready to wear it to school. And this was, in the 80s, early 80s, before people really did that type of thing. And my mother was horrified. She's like, "Your name isn't Joe. Why you don't drive a truck? Why are you wearing that?" How she was very troubled by it. But we had a pretty rich scene. This was in Northern California, before Silicon Valley, a pretty rich thrifting scene. So once I could drive my battered Audi, I would go to as many thrift stores as possible. And I've always been a problem record collector, so that was certainly part of it. But
how many records do you have? Do you guesstimate? Just like LPs?
It's maybe like 15,000.
Yeah,
I think three rooms.
So I was trying to figure out how many
Wow.
days it would. I guesstimated 10,000 records, and I realized it would take you for that 400 days of constant listening just to listen to everything you owned. So that sounds like it would basically take, if you just started listening to everything, it would take you 2 years to listen to every one of your records.
Yeah, I realize that. A friend of mine has a pithy retort. He says, "Do you eat on your best china every night?" So I know I don't listen. There are some records I haven't heard in 30 years, but I'm happy I have them. What is funny, of course, is that we have people over to the house. They say, "Oh, we have a friend who collects records. That's no big deal." And then they show up here and they say, "Oh my God, this is a lot of records."
Yeah.
And
Did you say 3 rooms?
3 rooms, yeah. And the movers, God bless them. It was like two trucks worth of records and books, lots of books.
Oof.
And I heard it took them all day, 4th floor walk up in Brooklyn out to Staten Island. And at one point late in the afternoon, I heard one of the movers say, "I can't feel my hands. My hands are totally numb."
But I've been to your house, and everything is well appointed and well curated and put in its place very nicely and looks gorgeous, and there's always something to look at.
Well, thank you. Although I will say the 45s, which is the largest part of my collection, are not in any order at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you just dip into them randomly and just be like, "All right, this is what I'm listening to."
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the best stoop sale ever because I own it already. And I rediscover it.
Yeah.
I didn't know I had this. This is great.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
So
Yeah.
what are your, other than records, what do you collect?
I never wanted to just be a record guy. So, I was always interested in thrift store art, hideous paintings, and oddball tchotchkes. Certainly have been wearing thrift clothes, and my wife, we were sort of joined through a joint love of thrifting,
Mm.
and so she's been buying vintage clothes like crazy for a long, long time, and I got into tiki mugs really early before that took off, and never felt like you should pay more than $1 for a tiki mug, and um, so I guess, and I for a while I was collecting Shriner stuff. I was collecting bowler stuff. Uh,
Repeat again, molar?
bowling, any sort
Bowling
of
stuff.
bowling. Yeah, bowling clocks. I have a lot of bowling clocks right now. Uh, so yeah, it's been a long tragic tale.
Wait, explain a bowling clock.
Well, it's like a bowling trophy, maybe, and they've inserted a clock in it. So it's got,
Fantastic.
like a brass bowler. And some
Yeah,
of them
that's
are
great.
really beautiful. They're like 30s and 40s era. And I had a lamp weakness too. And then there was some bowling crossover too, like the bowling pin lamp. And so it is sort of sad when you have 75 lamps and maybe 30 outlets in a house. So.
Do you bowl?
Sort of. I'm more just interested in bowling culture.
Right.
I'm
Got it.
happy it's out there.
Yeah. Like
Got it.
you're not a super tiki guy, correct? Like I mean, I feel like
No.
we're
I
both like
became
on the
really
yeah.
people became really militant and pedantic about it, and that isn't fun.
Yeah.
Wait, pedantic tiki people? What? When did this happen? I have a quick question for you, Rex.
Yes, sir.
Word on the street is you once sold a 45 and used it to buy a car.
Yes.
Now, you don't have to say what the cost was, but what was the record? I gotta know.
You might.
It was a great rock and roll instrumental called Ghost Train by the Swanks on the Charm record label. I purchased it at a Goldmine magazine for $3 and sold it to a Japanese collector for $3,500,
Holy
and
cripes.
then bought a used Mercedes, which I still have.
It's a sweet ride.
Yeah.
Nice.
And did you know that the guy was chomping at, like, had you been talking to that particular guy?
A friend of a friend told me there's this nut in Japan who has to have Ghost Train by the Swanks.
Okay. Has
And,
to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've sold a few other records for crazy prices. We're open for business. Anytime you're over four figures, it's good to go.
Yeah.
Come on by.
How would you describe Fool's Paradise as, like, if you were trying to like tell someone like when I do it, my shorthand to try to describe it is like the Las Vegas grind compilations, but a radio show.
There's certainly some of that, and I like to call those tassel twirlers, those sort of sleazy saxophone instrumentals. It's pre-65 rock and roll. I call it the unsung heroes of rock and roll, presented at 45 RPM, and it's mostly just oddball, obscure stuff. And it's should have changed and evolved or devolved over the years. Most recently, I've been into country and western murder ballads.
Oh, wow.
So I've been playing a lot of those. Cheating Wives. My favorite right now is Bobby Wright, Bedroom Upstairs. So she's up there putting the makeup on, and he's downstairs brooding, and
things don't go well.
You can take it from there.
I actually heard, I've only heard one version of that song "Psycho." Like, you think,
"Oh, right,
Psycho, Mama," from the Wavy Gravy compilation, and I heard another version of it recently, and I'm like, I didn't know anyone else did this song.
Yeah, Eddie Nowak did the original, and Jack Cattell did a fine version of it in the early 70s.
That's pretty cool. But last time I talked to you, were like buying lots of trucker songs, I think.
Yeah, I went down a trucker rabbit hole, and I get into subgenres like female trucker songs.
How do they differ from male trucker songs?
Well, they're usually the wife who's home waiting 6 days while the husband's out 6 days on the road, and she's home. Or there's Little Pink Mac, about a female truck driver, which is a pretty great one. Kay Adams.
Okay.
Uh,
Who's
yeah,
fairly
so
famous. Like Kay Adams was
Little Pink Mac.
no, like Kay Adams is famous. I don't know if Little Pink Mac is famous. Am I?
Yeah, that was kind of one of her hits. But yeah, she sang with Buck Owens for a while. But yeah, so I get excited about things like that. Sad but true.
Great.
But Rex, what do you have collection-wise to share with us? What's your
Well, I love failed products just in general as a life philosophy, and
good?
I bought this. I bought this in Pennsylvania, and there's still lots of. I should mention at this point that for me, thrifting also includes yard sales and garage
Yes.
Absolutely,
sales.
yeah.
It does.
It's under the
Estate
same
sales.
umbrella.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So this was picked up in Allentown a couple years ago, and it's in the box, and it's a radio that also dispenses toilet paper. So I also like the idea of solutions for problems that don't really exist.
Yeah.
Like I got to hear the news and traffic. I have to hear it when I'm on the toilet. So
Yeah, I know.
Is it in there? Is that box full?
yep, we've got the product in here. The other I like to think of the board meeting or just the group of people brainstorming and coming up with a product idea. And yeah, here it is.
Wow.
It's ready.
But can you get it out of the light a little bit so we can?
Sure. Oh, we've got some glare.
Yeah, a little bit.
Can we get Hal?
Is
can
it
we get a
battery
good shot of it?
operated? Batteries?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
It's from the good people at Luxtone.
Oh, Luxtone. That's
Yeah.
A Luxtone mark of quality.
Yeah.
Don't buy
And
any toilet dispenser without the Luxtone stamp.
I also love the idea of somebody actually writing copy
Yeah.
for this.
What does it say?
Solid state full circuit toilet tissue dispenser radio ... for complete private enjoyment.
Hmm.
Yeah.
There wasn't a woman in the board meeting. I feel like yeah.
Yeah, solutions for problems that don't exist.
Yeah.
Right here.
Example A.
Yeah. I also have a shag carpet rake somewhere. I
That
couldn't
you
find
need.
that in the box.
As a guy who has 2 shag carpets in his house, you need a rake.
Is
Yeah,
it different
yes.
from an outdoor rake?
It's a lot cheaper. I'll say that on plastic. So it's different in that regard.
Rake's a lot faster.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
Good.
So what else you got for us?
I love hillbillies. It's another thing I collect. And this is, I think, another Allentown find. It's moonshine aftershave. And they've
No.
they've got a detail of the still, and how we can get a good shot of that.
Yeah,
Okay.
and
then
it
on the
burns.
back,
It burns just the way you remember.
right, on the back it says very clearly, "Not for drinking." Which is
Wait, is
When
it
you're
drinking
dealing-
and apostrophe?
yeah. When you're dealing with that demographic, you gotta
Yeah.
be pretty clear about this.
Uh-huh.
They did have that Burger King Whopper cologne out on the market for a while.
Oh, right. We raced over to White Castle to get the White Castle candle that has the scent of a slider.
for Billy and Miriam, who were also.
We used to go there. We used to go there for Valentine's Day every
You're
year.
the one who told. I think they told me about that. That they
Yeah.
would do Valentine's Day with like table service and everything.
Yeah.
They give you the candles were limited edition, I'm
They
assuming?
had a limited edition slider candle that came in like a little porcelain, the slider box, the little cardboard box, and it was slider scented. So
That's
I mentioned
fantastic.
Pittsburgh as being a great thrifting town, and its baseball season's actually started, and they had a play by the Pirates. Pittsburgh Pirates had this booze hound radio announcer for years. I guess he did TV too. Bob Prince, who's known as the Gunner because he always carried a pistol, and he would have a mixed drink set next to his scorecard before he did a Pirates game, and he came up with all these crazy expressions like closer than fuzz on a tick's ear, And like for a home runs, I open the window, Aunt Minnie, here it comes. And he invented this thing called the green weenie. And it was something that you would shake at the opposing team to put a hex on them.
Okay.
And there in Pittsburgh, there are all sorts of green weenies. And one thing I love is having weird stuff like that in quantity. I mean, just one green weenie is never enough. So I would always buy green weenies whenever I could. When in Pittsburgh, you buy a green weenie. And there's actually a green weenie record too, by Frankfurter and the hot dogs, and
No.
it's pretty good. But here, and these are really well made. This is the other sort of surprise about the green weenie, is
Wow.
Why does it have
It-
earrings?
well, it's to be a noisemaker, and maybe it's a tie-in with the Pirates. The Pirates would have their, but this
The
is and
weenie
he's
is a
got-
lady
Well, no, he's got a bow tie, and then
and a ponytail and
The weenie is gender fluid at best.
the winter is
Yeah.
gender neutral. That is
yeah.
that is so much different than what I expected you to hold up right now.
Yeah.
I couldn't be more different. I was expecting something like a pickle, and I got something
Yeah.
with a face.
Yeah. And also,
Yeah,
as soon as you said like you buy them in bulk, I saw Joe
Yeah.
perk up because he likes buying. He likes to have a lot of things.
I do like it.
My
when you,
dream, for years, I haven't done it yet, is to just give away a uniform Christmas gift and have it like the classic rubber gorilla, just neatly packaged, and just have 50 of them, and just here you go. Here's your gift. Here you go. Here's
That's
one
great.
for you, one for the little guy, one for grandma. Everybody gets a rubber gorilla.
Anything else you want to show us, Mr. Rex?
It's really hard to top the green weenie.
Yeah, that it is.
What in the world?
What do you have time to? Can you stay on for the third segment?
Absolutely, as long as the green weenie can stay.
Yep.
Tales from the flipped. Tales from the flipped.
And we are back. And Tales from the Flipped question is: who influenced your thrifting the most? So, Katie, why don't you go? We'll save Rex for last.
Oh, not my parents, not my mom. No, I grew up in Central California, and there was one major thrift store near me, and I got to go one time. I remember when I was about 13, and I really, really wanted to go back all the time. It was too far for me to walk, and I didn't drive, and my mom would not take me there, which is bizarre because now she only shops at thrift stores. But so I would say that might have influenced me a little bit just because I wasn't allowed to do it. I wasn't really allowed to go in there. I don't know why. I had no idea what her bias was at that time. And also, I think the thing that inspired me the most to start was I worked at a vintage clothing store. It was one of my first retail jobs in Santa Barbara. And the owner, who also was the buyer for the store, was very, very specific. It was a very pared down vintage store, which we only sold Levi's and Levi's denim and corduroy jackets, Hawaiian shirts, which I learned way too much about, cashmere cardigans from like the 60s and the 50s for women, and just very, very specific items. And it was only like maybe 10 items, but it was a lot of those things very carefully picked. And he was the one that told me about these rag bins that he would go and pull from in the South. He would go to the Midwest and the South and go to these rag houses and talk about that. And so that influenced me really heavy because I knew that thrifting was not just Goodwill. I was like, oh, it's much bigger.
Joe, who influenced your thrifting the most?
Well, it's an ever changing thing for me. I mean, originally my mom would take me to the thrift stores, and so we'd go, and I think it was just my own personal, like, it was less about being influenced by, my the first thrifting I would do was like kind of like just dumb pop culture stuff, like a Partridge. This is in the 80s. It's like a Partridge Family record. Wah-ha-ha! That's so dumb. Or, oh, look at this. Here's a book of some TV adaptation from from the early 70s, and also I worked at a thrift store or at a vintage store once where I was like, wait, uh, you know, people buy these buy Afghans, and so that opened up a whole new door for me because it's like nobody like people do buy Afghans, but they're like you have to just take them home, clean them up, and yeah, it's so I just like it just keeps changing like as I learn what, like I said, not only what sells, but what I also like it things that I gain an appreciation for.
Never
So
forget.
for me, the answer would probably be to some degree, like my mom and I kind of bonded over going to garage sales when we were young. Like,
Oh, that's fun.
and the thing that kind of, like as you said, like the thing that kind of drove me at a certain point was to buy records. To buy because when I was going to garage sales kind of early on when the CD was coming on board, and so everyone was getting rid of the records. So I realized, like, oh, I can have I have a record player. I can just instead of paying $13 for the CD, I can buy it for $1 and have a lot more stuff. And it didn't matter to me, and I liked records. My ex Vicky, kind of like we went on a lot of thrifting, and kind of I just learned a lot about a lot of different things that I never had thought about before, and she just had a great eye. Joe and I have thrifted together for years, like, and was an influence, especially on eBay. Like, he kind of gave me all the real kind of brass tacks on how to like just go about it. But Rex, why don't you go?
Well, I never had, a clear thrift mentor, but, would go with chums in high school, and certainly going to college in San Francisco. We really hit the thrift stores in the 80s. And regardless of what we did Saturday night, go see a show at the fabulous Mabuhay or something, get home at 3, then you get up early, go to the Sausalito flea market, which was really great for years and years. And then afterwards, we'd go to Der Wiener Schnitzel in Mill Valley, and then go to the Unknown Museum. This guy, Mickey McGowan, had a huge 2-story house, and it was full of sort of art installations he made out of all the crap he bought at thrift stores. So,
Wow.
and you can probably find some of his news pieces on it on YouTube. But the Unknown Museum was so inspirational. And instead of, as an example, on the side of the house, he had dozens of old fish tanks, and he made little dioramas out of like the Planet of the Apes figures he bought over the years. And then the other one would have a Christmas scene. And then for stepping stones in the backyard, it was all old scales, like 50s scales.
Oh,
I guess what inspired me was that he'd have theme rooms. So everything in the kitchen would be kitchen related stuff, but it'd be 50 diner napkin dispensers all
Wow.
lined up, and so it really inspired me to just have like focused, to wait, so when you display the stuff, it would all make sense. But
Yeah,
yeah,
you
the
have
unknown.
different rooms in your house, right? Like that are kind
Yeah,
of like,
yeah.
which can you talk about like briefly about what those are, like which rooms and what stuff is in each one?
Yeah, I mean, having lived in Brooklyn for years, we were lucky enough to have a really big apartment, but it was always kind of heartbreaking that we couldn't really, because I love furniture too, like Haywood Wakefield furniture, and so we ended up moving out here to St. George in Staten Island. All of a sudden, we had this big 3-story house, so we could really fill it with stuff, and so in the spirit of the Unknown Museum, we have a boys' room, and my wife Coco has a girls' room. She's got like early, Barbies and hairnets, and just a crazy amount of vintage clothes. We have
Yeah.
those industrial clothes racks,
yes. Yeah.
so we got 3 of those, like with stuff. She has no shortage of dresses or jackets. So,
I love
uh,
it.
but yeah, no. So it's and I've got like the hillbilly stuff, in a glass case, and that kind of stuff that I guess some would view as tasteless. It finds a home here.
That's amazing.
That is amazing. Guys, I think we did it for this episode. 5 stars, I think. A pluses. Yay!
Yes,
Thank
we
you,
did.
Francis.
Thank you so much, Rex,
Thank
for
you.
coming.
You
Yeah,
bet.
Thank you, Rex.
Oh boy.
Hey! So,
Who's that? Who is that?
who
I
was
gotta
that?
see.
Oh, I like
Alright.
the tongue.
Trash.
Like, share, subscribe, everyone. Thank you, Rex. Thank you. We'll have you back on to show more stuff. And, all right, I think we're going to end the show now. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
In the meantime, keep your feet on the ground and keep reaching for the ground.
Hey, thanks for coming, everybody.
Don't you see the difference in the difference that you make from the cocks that you punch in the names that you're taking out ladies and bees, all giving you honey, and you whack more balls in the cover of money. You know Melissa Cherry doesn't do porn. To get funky and do the popcorn, eat your bars from China, or so they say. You all understand when it opens.